Made in Hollywood.
A director is the driving artistic source for a motion picture. It is the director's responsibility to communicate to the cast and crew members all aspects of the filmmaking process. Peyton Reed graduated from the University of North Carolina. Mr. Reed began his career as an editor before transitioning into writing and directing, and has directed such films as Bring It On, Down with Love, and Yes Man.
Hi, I'm Peyton Reed, director of Ant-Man. You're watching Made in Hollywood, and here's a scene from Ant-Man.
Imagine a soldier the size of an insect. The ultimate secret weapon.
First off, when did you know that you wanted to be a director? And then also, did you ever know that you would also direct a Marvel film?
Well, I always loved movies as a kid, and when I was 12 or 13, I got a Super 8 movie camera, and I started shooting film as a teenager. And it was really informative because, you learn what to do, but you also learn what not to do, and you learn how to shoot images, but also how they edit together. So from a very young age, I was making movies and trying to corral my friends into doing these things. And I knew it was something I loved doing, but I didn't know how to go about actually doing it for a living. And it's a very tricky thing to figure out. I grew up in North Carolina, which is a long way from Hollywood. But I really just kind of kept telling stories on film and video and 16 millimeter, things like that. And that's the tricky thing, because when you're corralling your friends to make movies in your neighborhood, the attention span is very short, and that's half the thing, is getting people to stick with it. So that would be my advice to teenagers, is stick with it.
For young people who are watching the show right now, who may be in North Carolina or somewhere that's really far from Hollywood, how do they get here?
I think it's tricky because, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you have to go to med school or law school. To be a director, there's so many different versions of it, but I would say just, to continue writing and shooting and making short films and telling these stories visually, and to just try and keep at it and get better and better and better, and then hopefully get in a position where you can show it to someone who sees the value in it and maybe will hire you to do something else.
And cut it!
My own path was sort of a long, circuitous path, doing a lot of different positions on movies and television. But really the main thing is just to be there and show up on time and keep at it. Perseverance is the thing.
If you give godlike powers to everyone, it's going to be chaos.
So how do we stop him?
I know a guy.
How would you describe just a normal day for a director?
A normal day as a director is, getting up extremely early and going to bed pretty late. But in between that, you're being asked hundreds of questions every day. And at the same time, you're marshaling these forces of, dozens and hundreds of people. So you have to be really, really prepared at all times. And movies, I think, are very delicate things. It only takes a couple of terrible decisions to sink a movie. So you really have to be very protective of a movie at all times, and that's through prep, through the shooting, and through editing a movie.
Scott, I've been watching you for a while now.
What other advice do you have for young aspiring directors?
I think my biggest piece of advice is just show up, be on time, and be smart about what you're doing. Because it's a tricky business, and as the director, you're really leading the ship. It's a very collaborative process, it has to be, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to make decisions. Or you have to be able to say, I'm not sure, let's just choose one of these things.
Give me something.
I have glasses.
Punch you in the stomach.
I have glasses. No, that's good. Like that.
So show up on time, be decisive, and have a vision for what you're doing.
You're different. And I believe everyone deserves a shot at redemption. Do you?
Would you say that your job as a director is easy?
No. It's always, to me, it's every time out on every new project is just as scary, because everything is radically different and the medium changes constantly. The tools that you're using to create it constantly change, and just, the speed and style of storytelling evolves. And I find that really exciting, so I think it's good to be a little scared every time out.
My days of breaking into places and stealing stuff are over. What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some stuff.
Makes sense.
Are there any other personal qualities or characteristics that you think teens need to really succeed in this industry?
There are a lot of politics in this business, as there are in real life. And I think a big part of being a director is kind of being a psychologist, because you're dealing with, lots of different actors who all have different styles of acting and performing, and they come at it from different ways. And you have to be able to take an idea or a thought or an emotion that's in your head and express it to another person and express it to a lot of people. You know, you have to express it to the cinematographer and to the sound person and to the wardrobe people. I mean, it's really about trying to be able to communicate these things that are in your head.
Are you ready to become the hero